Hi YouTube, welcome back to the Gear Shed. Got another product review for you today. Today we're looking at the Manker Eo2h LED pocket light. This is an interesting little machine. It is a AAA angle head torch. You would have maybe seen on any of my other reviews of the Phoenix HL10 little angle light from Phoenix. This is kind of a little bit of a competitor to it. It's quite a cheap light. The Manker one, I think I got this around about 19-20 pounds, so it's pretty reasonable. Runs on a AAA battery, as I said before. A little bit different to the Phoenix. It doesn't have a diffuse or anything like that, and it also has a really cool UI, which is interesting, which we'll touch on to start with. So it comes in a little blister pack. Yep. Don't care about packaging, gives you all the bits and pieces on it. You've got the torch itself, a little lanyard, sort of standard sort of fare there with the toggle on it, sort of Manker branding. A clip, it just clips onto here, like so. Looks pretty much, it's pretty stiff, whoops. You can turn it around the opposite direction, so you can probably deep pocket carry it, which is quite cool. Yeah, it seems a standard little affair. It's quite stiff, stainless steel. And you also get in the packet a spare O-ring, another sort of standard thing, and you get a headband. This is an interesting headband. It's got quite a hefty silicone holder here that you have to push this through. It is quite stiff, like if you throw this in here, it's quite solid, really holds the light well. One of the things I have found is to get it out, it's a bit of a mission, and what you have to do if you turn it the wrong way, you actually undo, which I'm doing now, you undo the end cap. So if you do take it out, you got to turn it clockwise to stop the end coming off. As a headband, the holder itself is very good. It's sort of stretchy silicone, but the headband is like bra elastic. It's very stiff, and there's no fluffy backing on it like these things here. This is very soft, kind of almost brushed elastic. This is it. It's just like, yeah, bra elastic. It's pretty. It's just like ordinary elastic that's printed. So it is kind of coarse. It's not the most comfortable band, that's for sure. I mean, there's nothing stopping you. I'd probably take this off and take it off and put a different band on. But yeah, so you get a headlamp, and this does come in two versions. You can get it with this headlamp attachment or without, and also it comes in two LED settings. So you can get a cool white light, which is an XPG3 LED, so it's cool white, or neutral white Nika Japanese, can't say it, Nika LED, which is what I've got here. This is a neutral light one. I think it doesn't quite reflect it on the packaging, but it does. The differences in the actual turbo output are different. So the neutral white, although it says 220 here, I think the neutral white is actually 190 for output, so it's a little bit less. You're not going to notice that sort of 30 lumens is not going to be a problem. So that's one to bear in mind. There's a slight difference in outputs. So neutral white. Let's have a look at this guy. So it's very similar to the Zebra light heads on it. It's quite a good little centered LED. It's got a nice bezel on it. Switch is pretty cool. It's a ray switch, but I'll get to the UI about that. It's not actually a big deal. It's also got a magnet in the tail as well, and also a lanyard hole in there. So this runs on alkalines or nickel metal hydrides. I've got a nickel metal hydride in here. Some any loops, the pros. Evidently, on the internet out there is rumor that this will actually run on a nickel metal hydride, a lithium ion, but you don't get all the settings. It sort of like knocks out a few of the modes. Hard to say whether that's legit. I wouldn't probably risk it. There's kind of no sense in getting too carried away with trying to overdrive this with too many volts. It's probably going to blow the LED in it, so I wouldn't probably go down that road. Now, comparing this to the HL10, this is 55 grams, so it's actually a little bit heavy. It's not a huge amount in it. Like if you put them in your hands and hold them up, there's not a lot in it. I think with the differences in the headlamp holders, again, there's probably not a lot in it. This is Manker one's probably a little bit heavier with a big rubber thing on it, but it's probably maybe a little bit more durable. The plastic, we'll see how we go. Now, why the hell would I then go out and get yet another AAA headlamp? The biggest concern I had with this is the lack of Moonlight Mode. So with a lot of Phoenix torches, you end up with them starting in quite a high output. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, this is, I think, puts out like 6 lumens or something like that, which doesn't sound like a hell of a lot. But within you've got like dark adapted eyes and you're in a tent and you turn this on, you pretty much blind yourself. It is very bright at 6 lumens when you know it's been pitch black and you've just woken up and you want to find your glasses or something like that. The other thing I don't like about this is the little turny head on it, which is a bit pants really. It doesn't do a hell of a lot, and it's just, yeah, but for show. So along came the Manker, so we put the HL10 aside. What I like about this is that it has got Moonlight, and it's actually programmable, which is quite a cool thing as well. So let's have a look at the UI on it. So it's one press turns it on. And what I found is slightly different to the instructions. I find whatever mode you've left it on, if you just turn it straight on, it'll go back into that mode. You'll click again, will get you the next available mode. So you're looking, so 0.6 lumens. Now, I'll talk a little bit about that low mode in a minute because it is actually programmable. So it's unclear with the instructions and the specs what the 0.6 is, whether that's the lowest setting, and then the other settings that you can program it between that and the next mode, what they are, who knows. But so we'll say with the from off, let's say that's 0.6 of a lumen, so it's quite a low Moonlight Mode. It's quite good at night, you're not blinding yourself, and runtime wise, looking at 64 hours on a AAA battery. So if you're only using it at night in a camp, fantastic little torch, nice and light and compact. So the next setting is 16 lumens, and that's supposed to run for 10 hours. And then you have high, one click again, high, which is 70. That's supposed to run for 2 hours. Now, what's really cool about this is that if you click it again, it drops back down to the middle, the medium mode, and click it again, it goes back down to Moonlight. So it cycles up and down in a loop, basically. Well, not a loop, just up and down as you push it, right? Oh, inevitably went to the next mode. So you've got those. Now, click to hold to turn off. If you double click, it goes straight into turbo, which is the 220 lumens, and that's supposed to give you 3 minutes of that capacity, and then it'll step down to 70 lumens. So it'll give you a turbo for that 3 minutes, and then it'll switch off and drop down to the medium mode. Now, what happens is when you go into turbo, then you can actually cycle through a number of strobe modes. So just bear with me when I do that, so don't blind yourselves or get any epileptic fits, but here it comes. It'll do full-on flash. Click it again. It will do what I think is Morse code. Do it and click it again, and it does like a slow strobe mode. Double clicking gets you back into these low, medium and high modes that we had before. So you can, probably the only slight downside of that, yes, you can then get to turbo straight from off by double clicking it. When you're in that double click turbo mode, you have to double click it to get back into your low, medium and highs. Now the only downside I found with that is you double click to get into turbo. If you're a little bit slow with your double click, you get a short bit of blinding strobe, which is never good. So that's just something to get used to with that. And as you probably would have just seen then, it actually doesn't go straight into the low mode. It actually goes, it sort of like drops down in brightness, if you know what I mean. Right, so going on about the programmable side of things, the low mode that you saw, the 0.6 lumens that we have going on there, or whether that is or not, I'm not sure, because I have messed around with it and it's probably a bit brighter than that. You can program it. So to do that, you click 4 times. Oh, right, and then as you click, it's not going to be very... no, I haven't quite done it. There we go. Right, you're not going to quite see it. So 4 clicks gets you in the programmable mode, and that allows you to program. You won't really see this happening, but it's getting, every time I click it, it gets a bit brighter. Right. He says breaking it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so we select, you can't really see it on here, but we select whatever brightness mode we want. We click and hold, and that's now programmed as our low mode. Okay, so it gives you a bit of programmability, and they are quite lows. Like doing it, you'd have to do it in the dark to actually notice much difference in it. So that's locked and loaded for there. Now there's also a lockout mode, which is, if I can do it, it would be a miracle. You've got to click once, double click, and double click 3 times, and it goes into lockout mode, and it's out. Clicking it doesn't work, so you got to go 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and it should come on. He says breaking it. So yeah, see, he's going to do it. Look at that. So let's break the connection, see if we can get that working again. Nope, I've broken it. So yeah, so there's a lockout mode. We'll pause the video and I'll unlock it and we'll get back. Alright, back. So yeah, I'll bug it up. It's one click, a double click, and a triple. So it's actually quite difficult to unlock it. It is a bit of a ring roll, but what is good news is this, unlike a lot of the other torches we have, it has got anodized threads, so you can do half a turn and it'll come off if you want to do it more traditionally. Plus I found that the switch itself is pretty robust when it comes to turning on its own. So that's one to look at. Alrighty, so overall it's quite a cool little light. It seems to be quite programmable. It's very cheap. Let's have a little talk about the beam wise on this. Not going to try and attempt to give you a beam shot because it's going to be a bit difficult to see that with such a low power torch, but essentially it has a very similar to the HL10. It's got a kind of a prominent hot spot in the middle, and it kind of blends out into more of a flood around the outside. So it's not designed, it's not a full-on floodlight. It's not designed as a massive thrower. It's kind of good medium distance. I'd probably think like 10 meters, 15 meters would be your sort of max output for it. But yeah, nice little hot spot with a nice sort of flare around the outside. It's a good sort of all-purpose kind of beam. So pros and cons. Let's have a look at it. We'll start with the pros, I suppose. Programmable. I think that's quite cool. It does give you a few little options in Moonlight Mode. If you don't want it so low, you can bring it up to a bit of a brighter setting. That's really cool. Like it. In saying that, yeah, Moonlight, big improvement on this. It's one thing that Phoenix just doesn't do is Moonlight Mode. I know that Phoenix tend to be a little bit more sort of mainstream, and I suppose that's part of it, that if you're not super into torches, that a Moonlight doesn't seem off the cuff to be of any use. But I've found that personally I use it quite a bit for doing stuff at night where I need a bit of light, but I don't want to blind everybody. I mean, I've used a lot of my torches with moonlights, and we've been doing some family camping. We're just leaving that in the turned on the pocket of the tent, and that just gives like basically like a night light, really, that when you do open your eyes, you're not in pitch blackness. So do like the Moonlight. That's a big plus for me on that one. AAA battery size, That's pretty cool. Still plenty of options with that if you go on a long distance backpacking trip, like I took that one to Tour de Mont Blanc, mainly because it's a AAA and I knew that I could get a AAA pretty much anywhere if I needed to. That's a good idea. It's pretty good. Probably the main cons we're looking at, it is heftier than HL10. There is a different weight. I mean, we're not talking lead weight, super lightweight. Noticeably, if you stick them in your hands, you can feel the difference. I think the HL10 is a bit lighter, but that's mainly to do with the plastic. You can see configuration-wise, the head's a lot smaller, outputs are higher, that kind of thing. Headband is a bit of a con. Headband is a bit shocking, really. The hold is pretty good. It's not, as I said, it's not the most comfortable thing in the head because it's difficult to explain on video. You can't quite see it, but it is just like a rough, coarse elastic. It's not very comfortable on your head. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. And as I said, it's pretty easy to change. Just throw a piece of a nice soft elastic in it on your way. So, do like the holder though. That's quite good. It's nice and solid. It's just the elastic they might have trimmed out. I think what they're trying to do is just give it a bit more of a robustness, because the elastic's one of those things that goes, but it is essentially just printed elastic. So that's a bit of a con. Size-wise, it's a little bit more chunky. It's kind of a little bit of a con, not by much. These torches are getting so small anyway, you want to have a little bit of size to them that you can actually pick them up and use. It's pretty easy to lose them otherwise. But it's nice overall. I mean, it's a nice finish. Anodizing is pretty good. There's one little bit there that's not quite right, but it's pretty good overall. And probably the other con is no lithium ion, which is really here nor there. It'll be good for some people. Lithium ion is the way forward. For something this small, you can turn it into a little pocket heater and pocket rocket. As I said, there's unconfirmed reports that it can actually take lithium ions, but I wouldn't risk it. And really, you're not gonna get a hell of a lot of advantage with it. You're going to end up with yet another battery configuration you've got to dick around with and charge. And also, it's going to, as I said, it's going to overdrive the LED, so it's going to be a little bit of a problem in the long run for the lifespan of it. So yeah, so overall, I do like it. It's quite a good little torch. Finish is good. Slightly let down by the headband, but we can overlook that. Probably make quite a cool little pocket light. On a ready available battery. It's got some pretty good run times and it's got some pretty good output. So yeah, magnet on the end, that also helps. Yeah, overall great little torch. Manual lockout, as I said, or you can run through the palaver I did before and do the electronic lockout with it. Got all your flashing modes, got your turbo mode. Can't really go wrong. And price wise, it's a little bit cheaper than this. This is, I think I picked this one up for about £23, £25, something like that. As I said, 20 for this. You can go see them as low as sort of £17 just for the torch, because as I said, that comes in just as a torch on its own with the clip and the lanyard and not the headband. Or you, as I said, you can go and get the headband and make it all with kits. Around about £20, so that's quite acceptable. Also, being able to have it in the two different tints, the neutral white and cool white, that's going to suit a lot of people. The neutral white's quite a nice neutral white. It's not really yellowy or anything like that. It's quite pleasant. Can't comment on the cool white, but yeah, neutral white's a nicer colour, and run times and outputs are only affected slightly. All right, so there we go. That's the Manker Eo2h. I think it's quite a new LED torch that's out. Haven't seen much about it on the net, but there we go. You can have a good look at it. As always, subscribe, whack your comments in the comments box. So I'm more than happy to have a look at these things and weigh them and measure them and all the rest of it. Bearing in mind, these are all purchased by myself, so this is how I see it. All right, guys, thanks very much and see you later.